Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Page 38. So, for many of you who didn't get an opportunity to swing the deities before Radhagolokananda, and so we'll do this before we speak about Lord Balaram, if that's all right. So the Julin is right over there, and the procedure, do we have flowers or something people could offer? The procedure is you purify your hands first, and then you can swing Radha and Krishna. This is the last day of what's called Julin Yatra. Julin Yatra occurs right before and during Balaram's appearance day, and it's a special festival which the deities, every Radha Krishna temple at least, are swung. So you get the opportunity, even the children can swing the deities. It's a special day in which Krishna manifests his extra compassion and mercy. So we will chant this before class. And it's on, if any of you are interested, you don't know the song, it's on page 38 of the songbook. And it goes, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavana. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan. Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan. Shaiva Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan. Shaima Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan. Kalaneduna Jaya Jaya Mahavan. Kalinde Jamuna Jaya 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 Mahavan. Kesigata Vamshi Bhata Dwada Shankana. Kesigata Vamshi Bhata Dwada Shankana. Yakasabu Lila Koela Sinanda Nandana. Yasaba Lila Koela Sinandana. Shinanda Yasoda Jaya Jaya Gopagan. Shinanda Yasoda Jaya Jaya Gopagan. Shiramade Jaya Jaya Nenuvatsagan. Jaya Vrishabhanu Jaya Kirtina Sundari. Jaya Vrishabhanu Jaya Kirtina Sundari. Jaya Purnamasi Jaya Kabira Nagari. Jaya Jaya Gopishwara Vrindavan Maja. Jaya Jaya Gopishwara Vrindavan. Jaya Jaya Krishna Saka Bhagavatu Dveja Raj. Jaya Ramagata Jaya Rohini Nandan. Jaya Ramagata Jaya Rohini Nandan. Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Vasi Jata Jan. Jaya Dvisha Padni Jaya Nakakanya Kan. Jaya Dvisha Bhakti Jaya Jakhara Paino Govinda Charan. Shri Rasa Mandala Jaya Raja Rasham. Shri Rasa Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Sham. Jaya Jaya Rasa Leela Sava Manoram. Jaya Jaya Rasa Leela Sarva Manoram. Jaya Jaya Jala Rasa Sarva Rasa Sarva. Jaya Jaya Jala Rasa. Bharaki Babhena Brajate Prachar. Shri Jannava Pada Padma Korea Smana. Shri Jannava Pada Padma Korea Smana. Dina Krishna Dasako Hey Nama Sankita. Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan. Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ati Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Radha Hagarukinana Ran Hagarukinana Dragate. Jaya Radha Hagarukinana Ran Hagarukinana Dragate. Jaya Radha Hey Rane Rane Rante. Jaya Radha Hey Rane Rane Rante. Jaya Bala Rama, Bala Rama, Bala Rama, Bala Rama. Jaya Bala Deva, Bala Deva, Bala Deva, Jaya Bala Deva. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad. Paramahansa Paravidikacharya, also Cheta, Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Abhaya Chandana, Bhaktivedanta, Goswami Mahashila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON, Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shitwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuram Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Samaniti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Bacharni Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Dejatarni. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, Om Gana Timidanda Shah Gananjana Shlakeha Chakshuran Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha. So I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual masters, Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So as far as the international, you have something to say? Can I start? We're already late. So as far as the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is concerned, Srila Prabhupada is the primary representative of Balaram. Because Balaram, before we talk a little bit more about Balaram's ontological position, it's just one. I'm not a two-garland sannyasi, I'm just a one-garland. Some other sannyasis are more advanced than me. They can be 2, 3 garlands. So, before we talk about Lord Balaram's ontological position, you can offer the garland to some nice Prabhupada disciple like a Purvaji over there. Who's been serving Srila Prabhupada? Because we have other Prabhupada disciples here, Drishti Prabhu, and any other ones? No. So, anyway, we're all connected to Prabhupada as his Siksha disciples. Everybody understands that. So, Prabhu and Drishti Prabhu have been serving Prabhupada for so many years. Drishti Prabhu distributing so many books, preaching Krishna consciousness, and Prabhu distributing so much what? Prasadam. He's personified Prabhupada's statement that Krishna consciousness is kitchen religion. So he keeps the Krishna consciousness movement going because, as they say, an army moves on its stomach. Isn't it? So, anyway, so we are very grateful to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, who is manifesting Balaram's mercy for us. Remember that. And it's very important to understand that Balaram Nityananda is the original spiritual master, and one makes advancement by pleasing Balaram, which means pleasing Balaram's representative. And without pleasing Balaram's representative, you can't approach Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because approaching Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can only be done as exemplified in the story of Raghunath Das Goswami, who wanted to surrender to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but his parents kept him from surrendering. Nice parents. We've had other parents like that too. So parents kept him from surrendering, and he just couldn't get away, right? But when he approached Balaram, Lord Nityananda, by serving him in that special festival called the Pani Hati Festival, which we celebrate here in New Goloka, then he was able to easily escape. So those of you who want to escape from home, don't. Manasa Deha Geha Yoka Shimor Aprilam Tuyupati Nanda Kishore. Your methodology in this day and age is to engage your mind, your body, and your words in the service of Nanda Kishore. and understand that Krishna owns everything. But Raghunath Das Goswami showed us the importance of pleasing Lord Nityananda Balaram, and then he got Lord Chaitanya's full mercy. So the idea is, according to the Acharyas, that one approaches Balaram, the spiritual master, Lord Nityananda, to get rid of one's anarthas. We're going to talk about that in a second, in relationship to some of the demons that Lord Balaram killed in Krishna Leela. So one approaches Lord Nityananda Balaram to get rid of anarthas, and when you get rid of anarthas, then you become able to approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then you can come to the ecstatic platform when you approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And by serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which means Dinahina Yatachilo Harina Mudurilo, spreading Krishna consciousness, Yari Degatari Kari Krishna Padesh, Amaragai Guruhoi Tore Desh, and distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. I mean, just today I was looking at the book scores for last year that actually because of the work of Ditya Narayan Prabhu, we've been so successful. It's amazing. So when you please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then you can really understand what? The six Goswamis of Vrindavan, and then you can understand the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna. So that's the way to do it. You can't just like jump up and think you can understand the six Goswamis of Vrindavan without going through the proper process. You understand? And the six Goswamis, Rupa Goswami gives us that proper process. Ado Guru Ashrayat, to accept the Guru, to accept Lord Balaram like this. Okay, so that's the introduction. So now we'll get on to the talk. So who is Lord Balaram? That's a very interesting point, because we find that we worship in the Krishna consciousness movement not only Lord Balaram, not only Krishna, can't say only Krishna, but we also worship. The other day we were in the movies. Oh my God, sannyasi goes to the movies. That's because Adi Dev took me into Maya to a multi-screen. And so anyway, we were worshiping Lord Nrsingadev. And it was so wonderful. There's an advertisement for the movie. It was so wonderful that I noticed that some of the devotees who came with me were wiping their eyes after the movie, isn't it? So we worshiped Lord Nrsingadev, and there was also Lord Varaha there too, which is really cool. You saw Lord Varaha save Bhumi. That was pretty ecstatic. Of course, you didn't see Bhaumasura being born, but that's a different story. And so we have all these incarnations, the Dasa avatars, and of course, there are as many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as there are waves in the ocean. That means unlimited. Ananta Rupam. There's a very interesting verse in the Brahma Samhita, isn't it? Advaita Chuta Nadir Ananta Rupamajam Puranam Purusham Navayovanam Cha. Vedeshu Adurlabam Atma Bhakto Govindam Adipurasham Tamaham Bhajami. That there are unlimited incarnations. So this is very confusing. Sometimes people outside of the Vedic understanding, they say that we are polytheists, right? Of course, there's also demigods. That's another issue. Demigods, Indra, Brahma, Shiva, Ganeshji, these are all servants of Vishnu. We understand that. So we respect them as devotees, just like we respect His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada as a pure devotee, right? So we respect many of these demigods, like Lord Shiva's Vaishnavanam, Yata, Shambhu. So we respect them, and we worship them in that position, but not as God. However, we worship all these different expansions of Krishna, whether it's Balaram or Nrsinga, or Kurma, or Parashuram. That's next year, right? So we worship them all as God. So we're not polytheists. Because all these different appearances of the Lord, they're all, or he's all, to use precise English, it's the same, not it, he's the same person. How can that be the same person? Can you be in one place, in many places simultaneously, or in many different manifestations in one place? No. You can't do that. You can't do that at all. You can't even multitask. You can't do that. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. I tried it. I always give the example, sometimes I'm talking to someone on the phone and typing on the computer and cooking my dinner at the same time. And there's always a pause between, are you still on the phone? Like that. So, but Krishna can do unlimited things at the same place or in unlimited places, simultaneously or in different places. It's inconceivable. That's what it means. But he's the same person. Now, why does this same person, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, look differently? That's an interesting point. Well, let's use the example of our plays that we do here in Nugaloka.
Did you check the temple room, Jared?
No, it's not here.
Packed?
So he's an expert
Let's take a look.
director of theatrical performances, right? And sometimes we see different devotees on the stage, and I can't recognize who that was. Oh, who was that? Oh, that was Aditya Narayan. I can't believe it. Were you ever in any of his plays? No, I don't think. Anyway, sorry about that. So, sometimes it's just like, who was that person? And so at the end of the play, we get the introduction. Oh, Lord Nishigadev was, whoever he was. And Hiranyakashipu was whoever. And so then you see, oh, that's the person. Or in any sort of movie, you see different persons take different roles. Of course, they cannot change their bodies so dramatically. So Krishna doesn't change his body. That's interesting. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, that he appears in his original transcendental form. Avyatma bhutanam ishropisham pratim shwamadishtaya sambhavami atma maya. Right? So he doesn't change his body, but he can change his appearance. According to his what? Mood. If he gets really angry, he can be like Lord Nrsimhadev, half man, half lion. If he wants to play a flute, it's Krishna in Vrindavan. But of course, the original form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna, ete changsa kalak pumsa, Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. That's what the Bhagavatam says. And then Krishna has various expansions. We talk about expansions. They're not different. They're the same person in different mood. And every, what we say, expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is exhibiting not 100% like Krishna exhibits. You understand? There's a slightly less. Like Lord Vishnu, he has many of the same, he's Krishna, but he exhibits many of the same characteristics as a Krishna, but he doesn't do certain things. He doesn't play on the flute. He doesn't have these intimate devotees amongst the jiva souls like Krishna in Vrindavan does. Right? So there's a difference. You never hear about Lord Vishnu having a rasa dance. Do you? I think Lakshmi would be kind of upset with that. So in any case, there's a difference in expression, a difference in revelation, and Krishna, generally we understand the expansions in terms of what's called Chaturvyuha. That's Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Chaturvyuha means the four basic expansions. Just like when Lord Ram appeared, Lord Ram is not different from Krishna. He appeared with Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrugna, right? Vasudev, Sankarshan, isn't it? Arjuna, Aniruddha. Like Lakshman is Sankarshan, isn't it? Makes sense like that. So, anyway, so let's get back to Balaram. Little ontological information. So Balaram is the first expansion of Krishna, and he's the sometimes called Sankarshan because he brings all the families together. He, as his expansion, he's in charge, like Shesh, in charge of gravity. Gravity means what goes up must come down. And he serves Krishna in many intimate ways. We heard a class this morning by Mother Urmila in this regard, that he serves Krishna as the Singgasana. Actually, even the temple itself is a manifestation of Balaram. Just like, that's why every morning we chant Mandira Marjanado. The spiritual master is engaged along with his disciples in cleansing the temple of Radha and Krishna. And we find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spending so much effort in cleansing what? The Gundicha temple. Because the temple is a manifestation. And one who cleanses the temple is the same as one who dresses the deities. That's what Srila Prabhupada said. Because you're serving Balaram in that particular way. So, but the interesting thing is that when Krishna expands himself, I wanted to talk about this, is very interesting from my perspective, that when Krishna expands himself in different ways, he sometimes has different opinions in each of his expansions, even though he's the same person. That's amazing. Of course, all this is for the purpose of pastimes. And what is the purpose of Krishna's pastimes? To enjoy ras. Krishna's pastimes, ostensibly we hear in the Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna comes down, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkratam, right? To establish religious principles, annihilate the miscreants, to protect the devotees. But actually, Krishna doesn't have to do that. The reason Krishna comes down as Nrsingadev, or as Balaram, or as Varaha, is because he wants to enjoy different moods. Like, as Nrsingadev, he gets to enjoy extreme anger. As Lord Varaha, he gets to enjoy swimming. And anger also. Yeah, it goes down to the depths of the ocean. All the way down, down, down. And he picks up the earth planet from the depths of the ocean. So you see that Krishna is the supreme. That's why Balaram is called Balaram. Balaram means great strength and what? Ram, enjoyment. Like Krishna is also called Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya, right? So Krishna and Balaram, they are enjoyers. So however Krishna expands himself, he does it for his own enjoyment. Whatever Krishna does, it's for his own enjoyment. If you have to ask about the psychology of God, it's not like us. We do certain things because we have certain unfulfilled needs. We eat. Why do we eat? Anyone know? Because you're hungry. You know, it's not pleasant to be hungry. Is it? Not in my mind. It's not pleasant to be hungry. We turn on the air conditioner. Why? It's hot. And it's not pleasant to be hot. Isn't it? We do so many things to fulfill an unfulfilled need. But guess what? Krishna doesn't have any unfulfilled needs. You cannot take, for those of you who study psychology, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I teach about this, and analyze Krishna. Well, Krishna has a need for companionship. Krishna has a need for autonomy. He's already autonomous. He can do anything he wants. He's Swarat, right? So how can you say Krishna has unfulfilled needs? Anything he wants, he gets. We have to work at it. Every one of you, myself, we have my unfulfilled needs. I want to be Krishna conscious. But Krishna's already Krishna conscious. Right? So if you have to say that Krishna has some unfulfilled needs, he needs for you to come back to him. That's the only thing that Krishna's missing is you. And that's up to you because Krishna has created you in such a way you can decide to do that. So, anyway, so Krishna, getting back to the point, Krishna and Balaram, they have differences of opinion sometimes. Oh my God, what's happening here? And sometimes Balaram gets really upset. And even, let's go back to Ram and Lakshman. That's the same as Krishna and Balaram. So Lakshman had an extreme difference of opinion with Ram, but of course he had to listen. Why? His younger brother. Extreme difference, because Ram wanted him to put Sita Devi into the fire, send Sita Devi out to be exiled at the ashram of Valmiki Muni. And he didn't like that. But he did it anyway. Okay, you're my brother, I got to follow you. Therefore, next life, I don't want to be your younger brother anymore. Forget it, it's too much for me. So difference of opinion. Of course, next life, he becomes the elder brother, Balaram, and Krishna still didn't listen to him. Proving he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyway, so, all right, let's talk about differences of opinion Krishna had with Balaram. And one of them is my favorite. It's when Balaram wanted to get Subhadra married to Duryodhana. Actually, Duryodhana had this whole plan. He became the disciple of Balaram. Actually, one of Balaram's names is Duryodhana Guru. Did you know that? Prabhupada gave one of my godbrothers that name. So every time we spoke to him, he said, "How are you doing, Duryodhana?" It's true. I'm not just making, you can look it up in Prabhupada's disciple list. Duryodhana Guru. What a name. I'm going to try that on some of my favorite disciples. So Balaram had that name because Duryodhana had this whole plan. When Balaram went to Mithila, he approached Balaram when he was not with Krishna. So, of course, Krishna understood what was going on, but still, he allowed it to happen. And then Balaram was approached by Duryodhana, and Duryodhana said, "Can you become my Guru Maharaj?" Of course, not Guru Maharaj in terms of, chant your japa every day, but let's fight. So he was the martial arts guru of Duryodhana. And they fought, and Balaram was very pleased with him, and he said to Duryodhana, "Please, my dear disciple, what would you like?" He said, "I would like to marry Subhadra." And the reason for that was because, not that he was so much in love with Subhadra, that wasn't the point. He wanted to make an alliance with the Yadus. So he understood if he had an alliance with the Yadus, then Krishna would never fight against him or take any action against him. Because he knew Krishna liked Arjuna, and he didn't like that. So therefore, he thought, let's make an alliance. That's how the kings made alliances in those days, by marriages. All right. So Balaram says, "Okay, great idea. It'll connect our families." And, arrangements being made for the marriages. There are so many. Anyway, they're setting up a mandap and everything like that. In the same time, Krishna has his other plan. Because Arjuna has really he's taken Vanavas. He's gone for a different reason, because he intruded on Draupadi and Yudhisthira. So he's gone to the forest and actually dressed up as a sannyasi, a renunciate, and he wanted to end that in Dwarka. So he goes to Dwarka, and Krishna sees him. Krishna knows it's Arjuna, and Krishna invites him to his house, and even Balaram's house. And Arjuna, as a sannyasi, is sitting down, taking prasadam with Balaram, the rest of the family, and Subhadra's there also. And Arjuna naturally is making eyes at Subhadra. Imagine you invite a sannyasi to your house, and he's sitting at the dinner table with your family, and he's looking at your daughter or sister. Hi there, yeah. You know, you think, what kind of sannyasi is this? Balaram didn't notice. Why didn't he notice? He's God. For the pastime's sake. Yoga Maya. So Balaram is completely oblivious to what's going on, that the sannyasi's making eyes at his sister. And then Krishna says to Arjuna, which is actually against Balaram's wish, says to Arjuna, you should kidnap Subhadra. And Krishna says to Arjuna, you can borrow my chariot too. And he says, he gives him the whole plan. You should have Subhadra drive the chariot. So even they had ladies with driver's licenses in those days, isn't it? Why? Because in that way, it's Subhadra's kidnapping Arjuna. And how can you blame Arjuna for being kidnapped by a lady? So anyway, so this happens. Arjuna kidnaps her. Balaram, when he hears about this, he's extremely angry. He calls all the forces of the Yadu dynasty. We got to teach this guy a lesson, capture him. And he looks at Krishna. He said, why aren't you saying anything? And Krishna says, it's a good match. And, Balaram said, what's going on? Krishna always has the final word, right? And so the marriage takes place, and Balaram's frustrated, but he has to go along, which is Krishna. And then another story about a disagreement. Of course, during the battle of Kurukshetra, Balaram was not present because he didn't really want to take sides. And also, he was on pilgrimage for another reason. Anyway, so he was on pilgrimage, didn't want to take sides. So he was traveling around all the different holy places around India, and he comes back after the battle of Kurukshetra, and the final, let's say, fight is there between Duryodhana and Bhimsen. It's the club fight. Whoever wins everything. Winner takes all, as they say. So Bhimsen and Duryodhana are basically evenly matched in one way. Bhimsen is stronger. Duryodhana is more, he's actually a better fighter. He knows more techniques. So, but they're evenly matched. And of course, Duryodhana has this blessing from his mother, because his mother got the blessing that whatever part of the body of her son she looked at, that part would become as strong as steel. And so, of course, Krishna, he was so tricky. He convinced Duryodhana to wear like a fig leaf around his midriff or something, some covering around his midriff, because he says it's not practical, not proper to be naked before your mother. And so basically, he's vulnerable there. But in club fighting, you don't hit below the belt. So Balaram arrives at the time of the club fight, and they're fighting back and forth, and Bhimsen is hitting Duryodhana, and Duryodhana is just going, Hare Krishna, hit me again. The club just goes, bing, bing, just bounces off his body, and he's smiling like that, and Bhimsen's getting frustrated. Finally, he looks over to Krishna. What should I do? And Krishna just pats his thigh, and gives him the hint. And Bhimsen, following Krishna, being a devotee of Krishna, what does he do? He takes his club and whacks Duryodhana below or at the thigh. And Duryodhana basically has broken thighs. He whacks him several times, actually. And later on he dies because of the broken thighs. Actually, because he was disappointed, but that's another story. And Balaram then gets so angry, he says, I am going to kill Bhimsen. Let's have a fight. And Bhimsen is no match for Balaram, right? No match at all. And so Bhimsen surrenders, but Krishna says, no, not a good idea. Remember everything Duryodhana did. He's responsible. And Balaram just gets really frustrated, and he walks away. So here you find so many examples of differences of opinion between Krishna and Balaram. And they're this, as I mentioned before, same person, but he's enjoying even rasa exchange with himself. Can you imagine that? I can't. It's inconceivable. The Lord's pastimes are inconceivable, but they are relishable. Very, very relishable. So, I mean, I don't want to go on forever. I got so many pastimes I wanted to talk about. So, we're not going to talk about Balaram's birth because that's a complicated story right there. What I wanted to talk about more than anything else was Balaram's killing certain demons. Because Balaram, there's two primary demons that Balaram killed. Anyone know which demons they were? Dhenukasura and Palambasura. Of course, Dhenukasura was what? What was Dhenukasura? What? Who was he? Or what was he? He was an ass demon, a donkey. And he was where? What forest was he in? Talavan forest. And what was in Talavan forest that was so nice? Tal fruits. Okay. So the tal fruits and the coward boys smelled the tal fruits and they said, Krishna, let's eat. We're hungry. And Krishna said, okay, let's go. So they went into this forest, the Talavan forest. Beautiful forest. Actually, I've been there. And when they went there, there were these donkeys. You know, not only Dhenukasura was like the president. Oh, sorry for that example. I mean, and anyway, he was the chief donkey. And they were all, and so Balaram, he killed Dhenukasura first, and he threw him up in the tree. He threw him up in the tree. And then Krishna, he began to throw the donkeys up in the tree. And there were so many donkeys in the trees, all the fruits fell down. It looked like donkey trees after a while there. So, but Dhenukasura is a very interesting demon because what he represents, because these demons represent something. They're real, but they represent something. And Dhenukasura represents ignorance of knowledge of the soul. In other words, one who works like a mudha. You're a mudha? It's just working without any knowledge of the soul, just trying to acquire material things. Now, so that's an anartha, where we just work thinking to acquire material things without any attention to the ultimate goal of life, Natevatu, Swarta, Gatim, Hi Vishnu. Durasaya, Yebahirartamanina, Anda Yatanda Rupa Niyamanas, Tepisha Tantram, Urdamni, Bada. Does anyone know that verse? Natevatu, Swart. Those who are like asses don't know the ultimate goal of life is what? Gatim, Hi Vishnu. And they are blind people, and they're led by other blind people. And what happens? Andarya tanda rupaniya manas te pishu tantram urudamni bada. They fall into a ditch. What happens when you're led by another blind person? So that's the mentality we have to overcome. I need more and more and more and more, and work day duty, night duty, without no time for spiritual life. I'll have time for spiritual life when I retire. Oh, don't wait for that. Prahlad Maharaj says what? Komara Matret Pragyo Dharman Dhaman Bhagavatamiha Durlabha Manasa Janma Tadatrubam Artadam. One should start Krishna consciousness, spiritual life from the very beginning. All right? That's one demon. And another demon is Palambasura. Now, what did Palambasura look like when he first came and entered into Krishna's pastimes? A coward boy. Okay. And so what happened is they had some competition, and the coward boys formed teams. And Palambasura basically had to carry Balaram. Because the loser team, which was actually Krishna's team at that point, Palambasura was on Krishna's team, then had to carry the other team on their back. So Palambasura, he was carrying Balaram away to kidnap him. And he manifested his gigantic form, and Balaram said, "My, how this carrier has changed." And he just killed him. So what's the message about Palambasura? Very, very interesting. Lust. Why lust? Because with lust, something looks like what it's not, right? It has the facade, or looks like something, which is not actually that. Facade means like something in front, that you don't see the actual form. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I want to read this quote by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Chaitanya Shikshamrita, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains in Chaitanya Shikshamrita, there are two demons killed by Balaram, but the contaminations they represent, listen to this, will have to be removed by the dint of the devotee's own endeavors. Wow. In other words, you can't just sit back. Goodbye, lust. You have to work at these particular anarthas. And he states, this is one of the secret mysteries of Braj Bhakti. Now I'm going to read the rest of his commentary here. This is all from the Chaitanya Shikshamrita. The jackass demon, Dhanakasura, represents the bad mentality of overburdened, load-carrying, and the Pralambasura demon represents lust for the company of the opposite sex, as well as the desire for profit, adoration, and distinction. Profit, adoration, and distinction means you want to be seen as better than other people. You want a high position. You like people to praise you. That Prabhupada describes as subtle sex life. When a devotee endeavors with enthusiasm to remove these contaminations, then by Lord Balaram's mercy, they will be cast away. So what that means is by following the spiritual master's instructions, by following Srila Prabhupada's instructions and Srila Prabhupada's representatives, then these particular anarthas are cast away. So what are the instructions they're giving us? Is, of course, the sadhana process, the chanting of Hare Krishna, and the preaching of Krishna consciousness, especially listing the things in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami, and then distributing this knowledge to others. And then these activities or these contaminations will be gotten rid of. So this is the message I want to leave you all with today. We follow Balaram, we serve Balaram by serving his representative, particularly in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, means pleasing Srila Prabhupada. And we please Srila Prabhupada by cooperating with each other for spreading the Krishna Consciousness movement and personally having good sadhana. So, I think it's 6:04. So now it's time for the Abhishek. Actually, where's Aditya Ryan, Prabhu? Did you want to show that thing on the screen? What? On Sunday. Oh, okay. You don't want to show it now. Okay. Because I had it prepared for you. Sunday, okay. Okay, does anyone have any questions about Balaram? I have a lot of other stories, but there's not enough time to tell all these stories about Balaram. Amazing, amazing stories about Balaram killing personalities like Dvidvita Gorilla, Balaram's rasa dance, Balaram's dragging the Jamuna when he was having his rasa dance, Balaram dragging the Ganges River to Hastinapur because they were offending him. So many stories about Lord Balaram. And if you're interested in reading these stories, please get Srila Prabhupada's books, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna book. You have Krishna books too? Krishna book. And the Krishna book has many, many different stories about Lord Balaram. So any questions or comments? Yes. Yeah. Okay, that's another story. Ramaharshana Sutta was from a Sutta family. That means a mixed family. When you have, let's say, a Brahmin mother and a Kshatriya or less father, that's Sutta. So anyway, so Ramaharshana Sutta was preaching to the people at Naimisharanya. As you know, the Bhagavatam was spoken at Naimisharanya after it was spoken by Shukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. So he's preaching to them, and these sages at Naimisharanya are trying to perform 1,000-year sacrifice for the benefit of all of us. And they're wanting to hear the absolute truth. So Balaram comes into this sacrifice, and Ramaharshana Sutta doesn't stand up. Like if Balaram came here, we better all stand up. So Balaram, he understands that this person is prideful. Another instance of pride. Because he's been put on a seat. Just being on a seat or wearing a particular type of dress does not necessarily imbue you with certain qualities. So Balaram understands that, so he says this. He thinks this guy is unqualified. He takes a little kusha grass, boom, kills him with kusha grass. And so because Ramaharshana Sutta was unqualified in spite of having all the sages' benedictions for a long life, then he was killed by Balaram. So in other words, those who were speaking about Krishna consciousness better be humble and qualified, or else Balaram may take a kusha grass weapon to you. And anyway, and Balaram was basically had to do some austerity to atone. Of course, God does not have to atone for anything he does. But to set an example for us, the sages said, you have to atone for what you did, and therefore he had to kill this demon Balvala who was creating havoc, and then he had to go on pilgrimage for a year. Okay? Yes, question? Can I explain that? Okay. Wow, that's a really good question. That sometimes you find devotees of Krishna. I mean, Krishna himself never shows lust, but he shows anger because he's enjoying the different rasas. Krishna is sometimes very romantic too. But her question was, Arjuna. All right, let's talk about Arjuna a little bit. Arjuna was supposed to go in exile and be a brahmachari, right? And so one of the first things he does when he's in exile is he takes a bath in the Ganges River. And as he's taking a bath in the Ganges River, this girl, Alupi, pulls him down and says, I love you. and first he has a little bit of an excuse. He says, yes, actually I'm supposed to be a brahmachari. And Lupi says, well, it's only in regard to Draupadi you're supposed to be a brahmachari, but otherwise you can. And so Arjuna enthusiastically does that. Anyway, there's so many stories about Arjuna like that. It's not mundane lust. in the case of Arjuna, these are pastimes. When it appears that a pure devotee of the Lord, such as Arjuna, and Arjuna is an eternal associate of the Lord, is exhibiting something that we may consider to be lust, it's not actually, it's yogamaya potency of the Lord putting the devotee in such a situation that he desires something. Although apparently it's mundane lust. From the external perspective, it may appear to be mundane lust. But actually it's something different. It's some out of a different category. That's the best explanation I have of that. But it's not. It's definitely not mundane lust. Arjuna is always thinking of pleasing Krishna. Sometimes we look at these pastimes from our perspective and we think, if I was in that particular situation, I would be feeling this, I would be feeling that. Or someone I know would be feeling that or this. But it's very dangerous to try to understand the mind of a pure devotee. Actually, Prabhupada, the Vedic literature state this many times. We don't know what's going on. Like sometimes the devotees would look at a picture of Prabhupada and say, Prabhupada, you look very either angry or upset in this picture. And Prabhupada said, no, I was experiencing the greatest ecstasy. So from our perspective, I mean, many times we try to project or try to understand. I find devotees all the time, they attempt to do that with Prabhupada and say, when Prabhupada was looking at me and he was looking at my soul. How do you know? How do you know what Prabhupada was thinking or doing? And actually, we shouldn't try to enter into the consciousness of a pure devotee. These pure devotees are performing pastimes for the Lord. Just like we had a play of Lord Nrsingadev and Hiranyakashipu, and it appeared, who played Lord Nrsingadev in that play? Keshwan. Oh, Keshwan was Lord Nrsingadev? Hari Kirtan. Anyway, so whoever it is, it appeared, wow, they're really angry. But they weren't really angry, they were playing the part, right? Now, I'll tell you a story about one time we did a play of Lord Nrsingadev in the early days of the movement where the person playing Lord Nrsingadev really got angry. It's a funny story. This is my godbrother Amarendra. Some of you may know Amarendra. He was a lawyer, a student radical, heavy, really heavy guy. So he played the part, he became Lord Nrsingadev, and this poor devotee who was playing Hiranyakashipu, he had his clothes ripped off. He got carried away. He was just like, everybody's going. The devotee's going like this, oh my God. And he runs off the stage or something. So that's an instance where someone doing a pastime was really angry. But generally, the people doing plays, they're in control. So when Arjuna was definitely in control, he always, like Prabhupada said to us, he said, there was never a time when I forgot Krishna. So I would say the same thing with Arjuna. It's never a time when he forgot Krishna. And he was carrying out Krishna's purpose. And as a Kshatriya, he had his particular nature. So, any other questions? That was a good question. Okay, I think it's time for the Abhishek, right? Okay, thank you very much. All glory is to His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Balaram ki jai. Balaram Purnima ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such a wonderful class, and also pointing out, like Maharaj ended the class with the mood that we should have for Balaram Purnima, particularly talking of the anarthas, that is demons, Pralambasura and Dhenukasura, represent. So now during the whole festival, we are going to now have Abhishek, and then after that there's going to be Artik and then Prasadam. So during this entire Abhishek, Kirtan and the Arti Kirtan, let's have this mood of prayer where we really pray to Balaram to actually pull out those anarthas, of Dhenukasura and Pralambasura in our heart. So let's have all the Kirtans in that mood, praying to Lord Balaram to actually pull out those weeds. Okay? So thank you so much, Maharaj. So let's give a big Hari Bol as a Hari Bol! His Holiness Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So thank you everyone for joining us for this very wonderful special festival. Shri Balaram Purnima ki, Shri Shri Radha Golokananda ki.